Somebody had asked me how you could set up Surface Builder to alternate patterns in the Bud apps. I've actually had some problems doing this, even though it says CC10 to switch patterns in all the Bud apps. You still need an app to be able to send a value of on channel CC10. So I've used Helium in the past. I hadn't used Surface Builder. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. So just to explain what's going on, we have two patterns. The first pattern is sending out things that are low octave, in octave 1, 2, and 3, that are longer duration, a bar or a half a bar. And on pattern 2, we have much shorter notes, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, and the octave is much higher in the octave range of 4, 5, and 6. So if you hear things that are fast and staccato and high pitched, then you know it's pattern 2. If you hear something much lower and slower notes, then you know you're on pattern 1. So I just wanted to make it really obvious. So I'll play that. So we're playing pattern 1, long and slow. Switched high notes, pattern 2, fast. All right. So let's get to the actual work, which is Surface Builder. So in Surface Builder, what you need to do is create a new surface. Default size is fine for what I'm doing. I actually tried sliders and knobs, and what I found is, since we need to control CC10 and provide a value of 1 or a value of 2 for 1 and 2 to switch between 1 and 2, sliders, which have 127 numbers, 128, 0 through 127, it can be really fiddly to try to get a value of 1 and a value of 2. You're sitting there turning the knob real quickly, and that's not really going to work. And the same is true with the slider. It's actually really annoying to try to get it to be a value of 1 and 2. So in this case, the buttons seem to really work the best. To do the configuration, let's just change the label on it to say pattern 1, apply. And so instead of notes on and off where it says message, we want to change that to be CC, which is controller change. I noticed in the video that I saw, or the screenshot I saw, that the user was using channel 16. I don't know why they were using channel 16. It's valid. In my use case, I'm doing channel 1 because it's how my project is set up. I'm also using port 1. If we go out and look at the MIDI routing at the top right of AUM, you can see that Surface Builder by default has got 16 ports. I'm actually, just for my example, I'm going to use port 1. Sorry. So I'm going to leave that at port 1. And the value, it's asking what CC do we want to use. I'm going to change this to be CC10, which is what Muse Bud is showing. Down on the bottom left, it says patterns C10 at the bottom left. That's set up correct. So the function is to send MIDI. That's fine. But the data, this needs to be set for 1. If I double click it, I can bring up the text. Just type in 1. Now I don't know if the off value is supposed to be 0. For my case, I'm going to try just doing a value of 1. It seemed to work just fine. Maybe there's some valid reason to use 0, but let's just try 1 and see how that works. So if pressing pattern 1, it's going to send a value of 1. Save. So, all right. This, I believe, is correctly configured at this point. So what I'm going to do is click on it to make sure it's highlighted, and then go to the little options on the wheel on the left, and I'm going to duplicate it and drag it down. What I did notice on Surface Builder was that I think the default is set to lock all, and if you do lock all, you're not going to be able to drag them around. Let's make a liar out of me. If you find that you can't move these around, when I did duplicate, I couldn't move them. I had to turn off lock. So I don't know. It's just something to consider. So for this one, the second button, I'm going to change this to be pattern 2. And I think the only thing we need to change here, because channel 1, port 1, CC10 is fine, the only thing we need to change is this data down here, change this to 2. Again, I don't know if value off is supposed to be set for something else, but for my example, this seemed to work just fine. So the last thing we need to do within Scene Builder is just to get the pencil on the bottom left to leave edit mode. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, drag it down to the bottom of the screen. Before this is going to work, though, we need to go to the MIDI routing in AUM on the top right. And if you remember, I said port 1 needs to go down to the intersection of Muse Bud. So if we click on that intersection, you can see that port 1 now routes into Muse Bud. I think that's it. Let's try. So let's run Muse Bud, rewind, play. So we've got pattern 2 playing. If I click the pattern 1 button, switches to pattern 1, low slow notes, pattern 2, high fast notes. That's it.